The embattled Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, well, she visited the Dover and Manston migrant processing centres yesterday, following intense criticism over the conditions at the site. It's designed to hold 1,600 people for a matter of days, but it's been used to house around 3,500 for several weeks. She's also facing legal action, of course she is, from charities over the conditions, and Downing Street was yet again forced to jump to the defence of Suella Braverman on Thursday as questions swirled about her use of a military helicopter during a visit to Kent, when she also dodged questions from the press. Well, joining me now in the GBNews home is our security editor, Mark White. Look, I'm a great fan of Suella Braverman, I've got to tell you, Mark, and she talked about an invasion of migrants on the Kent countryside across the Channel. So therefore, why wouldn't she use a military helicopter owned by the Ministry of Defence, no cost to anybody? She didn't have to rent it or lease it from a commercial company.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a complete non-issue, I have to say. She was up in that helicopter not just simply for transportation from Dover, where she was visiting the processing centre there, to then head to Manston. She was up there because she was being taken over the English Channel. She was shown the choke points where migrant boats come through, where they are intercepted by Border Force and the RNLI. That gave her an overview, and not just her, but there was an entourage there as well. So you couldn't just do it in a tiny little civilian helicopter. A Chinook was the ideal beast for that particular job. And the military have command and control of the Channel migrant situation. That is their job day in, day out. Why wouldn't the military be involved in providing the Home Secretary with a helicopter to give her an overview of what they're doing out there? Then they decided it would take her on to Manston, where she met up with the other members of the entourage that were there by vehicle. I really do think it's a complete non-issue.
And poll after poll shows that people are really fed up about what's going on across the Channel. I'm fed up, you're fed up. Do you think we've finally got a Home Secretary? She talks the talk, but who's actually going to get to grips with this issue?
Well, she certainly says she wants to do that. But what she's facing at the moment is clearly a very significant problem because of the numbers who've come over, and they're having to deal with the consequences of that. And when you get a surge, as we did at the weekend, where 1,500 people arrived in 2 days, then you can't process them in the 24 hours with the capabilities they have at the moment at Dover and Manston. So what's the next step? Do you then fund many, many more people to process them? Well, you might have to do that, but all of the time, that's costing many millions of pounds more on top of a situation where just housing them in hotels, for instance, is costing £7 million a day at £150 a head in hundreds of hotels across the country. There was another row that Suella Braverman was facing over the so-called dumping of asylum seekers at Victoria Coach Station.
Now, one of the newspapers is saying today it's happened a second time, but it's not quite as it seems, is it?
No, and the Home Office are being very robust on this in terms of denying that they ever dumped people in central London. What the policy is, you're processed, Andrew. If you arrive in a small boat, you're detained, you're taken to this processing centre, you're supposed to be bailed within 24 hours. That's not happening because of the sheer numbers, but when they can, they do. They will release you to secure accommodation, to hotels, maybe into council housing eventually, but normally hotels in the first instance. But they also have the option of allowing you to go to friends and family if you can assure them that you've got friends and family to go and stay with. So what they said was there was a group of asylum seekers who had convinced them that they had friends and family to stay with in central London. They were then taken to the location they wanted to go to, which was the Victoria area of London, deposited at Victoria Station to then go to be, the immigration officials thought, picked up by those people. Most were. 11 weren't. And when the Home Office became aware that 11 people were there, having told them previously they had places to go, but then didn't, they then made urgent arrangements for them to go to Norwich to a hotel there.